One day, I was on a Skype call with Chris Cree, who works for me. Chris has known me for 5 years. It's a long time in the WordPress community to know someone, and he really knows me. So we're talking and discussing some client thing. I don't remember what, it's unimportant. And at the end of the discussion, I think we're wrapping up, and he goes, "Hey, what do you think about starting a theme store?" And me, being the very overly opinionated woman that I am, I said, "No." And he, "Why?" And I said, "That's not us. We do custom work. We do custom work and we sell to people like Michigan State University, and that's who we are. I don't want to make themes for just anybody that they can buy for 20 bucks. So being the good work husband that he is, he just let it go. So a month passes. On another Skype call, and he says to me, "So, what do you think about starting a theme store?" And again I say, "No, I don't want to do it. It's investment, blah, blah, blah." I had every reason you could think of. And then he lets another month go. And this time, he's prepared. He's ready for the fight. And he says, "How about we launch a theme store?" And I go, "All right." Because for whatever reason, it had sunk in, and I thought about it, and I looked around, and I thought, there's a lot of themes, but I think a lot of themes are ugly. And I think I can do better because I see ugly. I don't design, I don't code, but I see ugly, and I know marketing. So, all right, let's launch a theme store. Now, it was a simple concept. We're a Genesis house. We believe in the Genesis framework. So we're going to launch Genesis themes. And at that time, this was 2 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of Genesis child themes out there. There was StudioPress, but StudioPress had a certain look and feel. That wasn't my look and feel. I love StudioPress, love Brian Gardner, love everything they do, but that wasn't us. And it's not what I wanted to create. So we started with 4 themes. We had a blogging theme, a blogging theme, a corporate theme, and a corporate theme. And I thought we were going to be rock stars. And things sold. Things sold. I was doing a couple $1,000s worth of theme sales a month, which was just frosting on my cupcake. It was good. I was making money. It was bringing the money back in. But we weren't selling. We weren't doing what we really could be doing. I wasn't making money like I could be making money. I don't know if my heart wasn't in it, or I just didn't get it yet. So the light bulb went off in my head at some point, and I realized that was me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was building themes that some people were buying. They had no purpose. There's 4,000 frickin' themes out there that do blogging. And my themes, even though they were kind of pretty, didn't do anything. They didn't set us apart, they didn't differentiate us, and I was just this little website because I didn't want to sell on StudioPress, I didn't want to sell on ThemeForest, I was doing it on my own. I was taking my own road, or our team's own road. We were in the midst of black cats. Do you know that the black cats are the last ones always picked at the Humane Society? People don't like them, they're superstitious. I have 2 black cats. I like them because they're different. They don't look different there, but they're different because nobody takes them. And that was my themes there. Nobody was taking them. I was just a bunch of black cats sitting there. We needed to be different. We needed to set ourselves apart. We needed to figure out how to differentiate ourselves from all the other themes. Who in here has gone to themeforest.net? How long have you spent looking at themes? How many do you remember once you leave? You can probably pick out the Aveda theme or the striking theme. I can see the striking theme. I don't care how many customizations you've done to striking. I can see striking a mile away. But that was us. And then I realized that I needed to do something to really, really set us apart. My background is SEO. I originally got into WordPress because of SEO. It was what I knew. But what I wasn't realizing with the theme store was I was not drinking my own Kool-Aid. I tell our clients, I preach SEO to our clients, I nag SEO to our clients, but I wasn't doing it for us. I just was whipping some themes up and calling it good. And I was selling like $1,500, $3,000 a month. But once I realized that I could find a niche and I could really use my SEO for what I knew to turn just nothing of generic into something that stand out, that's when we became successful. So what I did, and I don't even think at the time, by the way, that I got what I was doing. I just knew I had to do something different, and what I was doing currently was not working. So I started to put in place a marketing plan. I tried to figure out how I could differentiate us from ThemeForest and from all the other WordPress websites out there. So I looked for the red umbrella. I tried to really find the red umbrella, because the red umbrella is what's going to sell. Because you're going to stand out, people will be able to find you. So I started to create themes that were based on industries. I wouldn't just pick a photography theme, because everybody wants photography themes, and it had really good search traffic in Google. I started to think, what has traffic, and there's crappy themes out there. So I put myself into a full process, exactly what I would tell our clients to do and exactly what I would do with anything else I would use SEO for. I would check volumes, and I would do everything I could before I invested $1 to figure out whether or not that theme was going to sell, and if I could make sure that we stood out, that we were the red umbrella. Whoops, excuse me. And guess what? Holy crap, it worked. All of a sudden, instead of selling $1,500 or $3,000, I was up to $10 a month. And that $10 a month turned into another $7,000 for customizations and referrals. And oh, by the way, when the attorney came in, because he had Googled WordPress law theme, and he found my law theme, and he realized it wasn't quite what he wanted, but then he saw I could create a custom site for him. And all of a sudden, my little theme store started to generate actual custom revenue. And I don't build a custom theme for $50. I do it for a lot more. So my idea of the theme store, did you notice I said it was my idea? It really wasn't my idea, it was Chris Cree's. The idea of the theme store and making revenue started a cascading effect. Our company's had about 60 to 80% of growth year after year since I launched it 5 years ago. The last couple years have been due to the theme store. From just figuring out what I was doing wrong, drinking my Kool-Aid, and trying to push that into that next level and make things really sell. I started a plan. Who in here uses Basecamp? We use Basecamp. We use Basecamp for client development. But what I really wasn't using Basecamp besides the build was for what I should be using it for. I needed to have a plan from start to finish to really kick out those themes. We have over 30 themes now. So we have lawyer, accountant, what else do we have? Chiropractor, dentist, medical, lots of themes. But you know what? Do you think that a chiropractor can use a medical theme? Or a dentist could use an accountant theme? No. Yes. They can in a lot of cases. But the chiropractor doesn't know that. The chiropractor looks for the image in the theme of the guy with the back. The accountant looks for the dollar signs or the spreadsheet in front of him in the image in the theme. I started to take that type of process, and I have a plan now from start to finish. My plan begins at marketing with the concept, and we proof it out. And I make sure that that concept is going to be able to go all the way through and be supported, and I'm going to get payback in a few months. How do I figure out what themes to create? It's the small town. I grew up in Michigan, in northern Michigan. Who's been in Michigan? Ever been in northern Michigan?
Yes.
How about the UP?
Twice in 25 years.
Twice. There is not a lot up there, just for the record. My town was 2,000 people. When we got a Kmart, we thought we were cool. When we got a Burger King, we thought we were really, really cool. But guess what about those towns? They have a lot of professionals who can't pay for full custom websites and have time on their hands. So if you think about those kind of people, they're theme buyers. They are theme buyers. The accountant gets busy for 6 months out of the year probably, then has downtime. What does he do during his downtime? He starts to create himself a website. I still go to northern Michigan. I have a cottage up there, and as we go through my cottage, or through the town, which doesn't even have a McDonald's, it's even smaller than the town I grew up in, I look around. I look to see what little signs are out there. That's how I came up with the chiropractor, the accountant, the dentist. I'm trying to think what else I have. All of those little ideas, it's from the drive. It takes 2.5 hours for me to get up there. And if we want to go eat someplace, it takes us a half hour to get to a restaurant, which is the bar. So I just look around. That's where I get theme ideas. If you go to Google and you go to search inside the AdWords tool, anybody done that? Right? Do you realize it's all skewed for pay-per-click? It's what they want you. I love Google, don't get me wrong, but it's what they want you to spend money on. So even if it doesn't come back and say, oh, by the way, here's all of these search terms for WordPress themes, they exist. And if you think about it and you actually put it in there, then Google will give you back some traffic. I realized that we have a sweet spot. My sweet spot is within a certain amount of search. I have to have a certain amount as a minimum to be able to get payback for the theme, but I cap it at a certain rate, and I won't go with search volumes past that rate because I know I can't score on page 1 right away in Google. But if you can get yourself to page 1 in Google for any term, you get a lot of traffic. If you Google, if you're on the internet right now and you look for an accounting WordPress theme, you'll probably see me first or second. Law, medical, dentist. You're going to find us a lot on page 1. I don't go past a certain level. The only time I broke that was with our Patricia theme, which is a nonprofit theme. And it's because there was a lot of requests for it. And nonprofits don't have money, and I really like to give back to people and give to the community, so I realized that, I'll make an exception. But guess what? Patricia's a really good seller because people use it for a lot of other things. You just need to get people into the site to be able to make a difference and to start selling and making sure that the plan that you establish, which is the chess pieces, is really going to translate into sales and you're going to get your money back. So I told you we've been making good money. Base themes, we've been making money, customizations, custom work, people refer us to other people, and it's just kind of become a snowball. Some of the things that I've learned that make us successful is from a design standpoint, I make sure we don't look like StudioPress. That's my competitor. And people want us to look like StudioPress, but guess what? If I look like StudioPress, no one's going to buy my Genesis themes. They're going to buy them from StudioPress. There's no point for me to look like StudioPress. I have had 5 different graphic designers work on our 30+ themes. I can see pretty, and I can see ugly. That has helped us. One of my tips to anybody who's considering going into theme development is if you don't see ugly, you need to hire it professionally. If I try to use me and a coder to develop a theme to sell, we wouldn't have done it. We just wouldn't sell. I needed that professional to be able to come in and design those themes and make them look professional enough so that that accountant is bought in, so that the lawyer is bought in, and they are bought in. They send you emails and they ask questions and they don't realize they don't want to set it up themselves, but they still really love the theme. They're bought in. They're bought in because of the graphic designer. One of the other things that we've done is we've stuck with the Genesis framework. I know a lot of people don't like frameworks, but it gave us a structured code base. I have multiple people work on themes. They're all doing the same best practices because Genesis keeps us all together. They're all marching to the same tune, and I know that they stay within best practices because we have a structured code base. That has helped me tremendously. And it's not just the fact that the code base is consistent, it's rapid. We have a base child theme that we use for all of our custom development and our store themes. So that is a head start. So when we go to take those layered PSD files and whip them into stock themes, it is a very fast process for us. Fast process is a week or two. I don't know if that's fast process to everybody in here, but for me that is. And it's because of the Genesis framework and the head start that we have. One of the things that we did very, very early on was at the suggestion of Brian Gardner, I hired Gary Jones to do a code audit for us. You can think that you are the best rock star coder and that you've got mad skills, but if anyone's ever talked to Gary Jones or followed him on Twitter, he will tell you otherwise. But he didn't just pick apart our code. He taught us things that we just didn't think about for theme buyers. He would say, why would you do X when what they really want is Y and Z? Don't do X, do Y and Z. It's better for the code, it's better for your buyers. He's not cheap, but I did it with him on the very first theme, and what he told us in that first theme, we've used on the next 30 themes, as well as our custom development. The other thing it did for me is when people would come to me, and there's crazy people on the internet. I mean, really crazy people on the internet. But when someone came up and said, about my code, I knew my code was audited. I knew I had Gary Jones, and Gary Jones calls you out when your code sucks. So I knew my code didn't suck. I knew my guys were doing a good job, which gave me the confidence to say to the crazy guy who's whining at me, my code doesn't suck. I'm going to stand my ground. And having that confidence leads to sales. It leads to referrals. You have to be confident when you're selling on the internet because, man, you do get crazies, and those crazies are not the average crazies. We were just talking about it a second ago. They're full-on crazy, and they're passionate crazy. So you have to have confidence. I needed to have the confidence that I had solid code and that I had solid design because I had a professional graphic designer, or 5, who worked on our themes. When you think about launching a product, first of all, I would like everyone out of here when you leave to want to launch a product. But before you jump in, and you jump in all the way, you need to know this is what you're jumping into. This is a really large list of stuff that has to get done. When I finally said yes to Chris about launching the theme store, I thought that list was like 3. I had no idea what was going to go in to making this successful. I consider our theme store successful. We sell them off of our website. I don't use any pay-per-click. I use full-on organic search, word of mouth, social media to make our sales happen. That is what's helped us make it happen. And if you look at it, it starts at the concept, which is me driving through the middle of nowhere, looking to see who's got more time on their hands than they do money and who's a professional. Then I validate it in Google with pay-per-click. And when I say I validate it, I don't just look at volumes to make sure it's within our sweet spot. I look at the competition to see what they have. I look at how good their SEO is. I look at how pretty their themes are. And if I can make a prettier theme, I'm going to try to make a prettier theme. But if there's great themes already, I'm not touching it. I'll go find something else to build because that's not something that I'm going to try to do. I frame out what we need, and I do that by looking at multiple accounting websites to see what those accountants actually put on their websites, and they're god-awful, but whatever they put. And I start making a list of the type of content we need to have on the homepage. Because when people come to buy a theme, it's an emotional purchase. You need to suck them in. And you can suck them in by just telling them what they already think they need, even if sometimes you don't agree with it. The next step was graphic design. professional, paid for it 30 plus times. Theme coding, the demo data. How many times have you gone to look at a theme and it's a bunch of Latin? How does that make you feel? Does it inspire you? Is it an emotional trigger for you to hit the buy button? It's not. But guess what? When you go on the home page and you put in some hours and you make it look like there's a Facebook button that's going to go link to somebody in a nice like box, even though I don't encourage you to do that, I know the people that buy my themes want that, and you talk about the dental office and that you do this and that, that does not take that much time, but that sucks the dentist in. He wants to buy those themes because you're speaking his language. His language is most likely not Latin. You need to take the time for the demo data, and that is hours of work that I actually do myself. The setup instructions, we have good instructions. I've had people tell me they're good instructions. We have a protected forum, and there's going to be 20 things of instructions that I'm going to put for every single theme, just in case you can't figure it out on your own, which most likely you can't. Even if you've used Genesis 4,000 times, you should be able to. But I'm still going to tell you one little step by a time. People are never happy with what you have. They want videos, they want a PDF that they can download, they want something else. Stick to your guns, give them good instructions, be prepared to answer questions, and when you get the same question 600 times, update your instructions. Add to them. We also do off-site backups, which they go to Amazon or something, I don't know. I just know we've got backups somewhere. Sales pages, what are you going to say? Because again, you need to speak the accountant's language. And, by the way, when the people who don't read that it's for WordPress that they're buying, you need to be able to say, no, really, I did tell you that on the sales page, and put it in bold. For us, it's the Genesis framework. I struggled for 9 months of people asking for refunds because they did not see that my themes were child themes for the Genesis framework. It's the first sentence on the page. They just don't read it. Big, bold, underlined Genesis framework right above the buy button. I still get people 5 times a week that ask about the Genesis framework, what is it and how can they get it? And they've already bought the theme. I'm not exaggerating that. However, my sales page above the buy button in bold linked to Genesis framework tells them it is required, it is not included in the theme purchase. Our terms and conditions that they must check that they've read at purchase tells them they need the Genesis framework, as does our FAQ page. And while I've minimized the questions from people, you're still going to get them, but I make it as easy as possible to just say, no, you've got the theme, we have a no refund policy. But that was 9 months of me learning how to optimize that. You need to just take the time as those things happen and implement that into your process and fix it moving forward. Affiliates, how many people have affiliate links that they're using? That's time, that's money. You have to have an infrastructure for that. We did it first on our site, and then I talked to somebody who said, oh no, don't do that. So I moved over to Sheriff's Hill. All of that's time, all of that's investment. But it also is promotion for you because those people promote your themes. And it's worth it. To me, it's worth it. What I pay out in affiliate marketing, we get much more traffic and I get many more sales to make that very much worth my effort. Pre-sales inquiries, I get a lot of emails. And I'm good with them until it's the same person 5 times. And that's just not reading. But you need to know that you're going to have to allocate time for that. Because if you don't reply, they're going to assume there's no one supporting the theme and they're not going to buy it. The store management with the plugins, we use WooCommerce and just a ton of Woo add-ons, which works great. But again, it took me a while to figure out all of the things that we really needed for that. Ongoing support. I know I should be charging yearly for the license, but I don't because I just want to be fluffy and warm and fuzzy. You got to allocate for that. But here's something that you should know. If you've never launched a product, and I don't know about plugins, you'd probably be able to say about plugins, but I can tell you this with themes. 80% of your buyers never reach out. My sister, God bless her, has bought a lot of our themes. She was my beta user. She doesn't know WordPress very well, and she gets an idea, she jumps on it, then she gets sick of it and she goes to the next thing. But she has really good ideas. But here's what she does. She'll buy a theme, she'll install it, she doesn't like it, she just goes to the next one. There's a lot of people like that. 80% of our buyers we never hear from. It's the 20% that about want to put you under with tons and tons of questions. You need to have someone to be able to do that on your team. And it's not, support in a theme is not for everybody. I could not do it. I would tell people to stop whining at me. Where Chris Cree, whose idea this was, very good, this is his idea, he has the patience of Job. He can do it. He loves the theme support forum. But plan for that, because that is definitely an investment. Oops. Okay, use the right tools. GitHub, WooCommerce, Simple Press is what we use for our forum. But you've got to have a plan for that. And you need to make sure it's solid. I do like WooCommerce. It works out really, really well for us. We use Basecamp. All of that has helped us be able to kick things out. Yes?
You use WooCommerce to sell your themes.
Yes.
To integrate you.
I do that too. Yep, absolutely do that too. Know your ROI. It is an investment. I pulled from my 401k to build this theme store. I sold websites for custom development to people I did not like to help build my theme store. It is an investment. Those are all the things you're going to end up paying for. Know going in that you will have to make that investment. Know going in that you can get payback, but plan for it to take some time. Because remember, I didn't sell any, I sold things the first few months, but I didn't sell like I could the first few months. Plan for trouble. It is gonna come. You're gonna have whack jobs. Stuff's gonna break. When we went to go launch our theme store, guess what happened the night before? WooCommerce came out with a huge update. And guess what? Things just were not working. Thank God I put a tweet out on the internet and somebody came and he fixed my stuff for me and didn't even want payment on it because he just liked WooCommerce. I sent him money through PayPal. And he will be my BFF for the rest of eternity. Know that people steal, and protect yourself. That's why our forum is protected. And you can't get into it without a login. People don't like that. Expect the unknown. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The themes I think that are going to sell, sometimes sell, and sometimes they're rock stars. The themes that I think are going to sell, sometimes they're complete big bombs. The themes that I hate, like Catherine, which is our accounting theme, she sells like hotcakes. Hate Catherine. I think Catherine's ugly. But that was a joint project I did with somebody, so I had to have their opinions go into it. But know that you're not going to be right every time. Know that you're going to make mistakes, and know that that's okay. Because as long as you learn from it and you move forward, everything's okay. So I've scared you. And I wanted to scare you, because I will tell you, I love the theme store. I get to control it. It's creative. It's money. It's good money coming in every month. But as you decide what magic you're going to make with WordPress, know what going in, there's time, there's cost, there's stress, there's emotional drainage, but I believe it's worth every penny. Thank you. Any questions? Yes?
How did you know how to price your things, Rebecca?
How do I know what?
How to price your things.
Oh, how to price them. I had to use, well, I didn't have to, but I chose to use StudioPress as a guideline because at the time, it was 2 years ago, they were so predominant with, that was it for Genesis themes. I didn't want to veer off from it very far. The one thing I did forget to mention is when you go to name your product, please do some research. My themes are named after family members and people I love. I did that originally because I didn't want to name it the X theme or whatever that didn't stand out. I wanted to stand out and be different. It's that, think the red umbrella again. I needed to stand out. So I named them after family members. That's why it's Catherine, and it's Frederick, and it's Alexandra, who's my daughter, Annalise, my niece. They're all different. Do research to make sure that when you Google something, 4 other things don't come up on page 1 that is going to completely confuse potential buyers, and they'll never find your product. Any other questions? Yes?
Did you end up creating permanent jobs because of the expansion of your company, or did you just bring in people on a contract basis to, take care of work as it was necessary?
Yes, great. Great question. So here's what we do. I have 2 full-time employees, and the rest of my employees are part-time by their choice. They only want to allocate so much time. But here's what I do with the theme store. When we don't have client activity for my one full-time coder to build, he works on store themes. It's a time filler for us, which is great. He's salary. I want to have him always producing revenue for me. So I always have a lineup of layered PSDs designed and ready to go so that when we go low with client work, he can work on that and we can kick out a theme, which worked out great. It absolutely worked out great. And I wish I would have had the thought to do that, but it just kind of happened.
So I'm also curious, how many individual businesses do you think or do you know that you've sold themes to?
We've sold to thousands, but we have a lot of repeat buyers. I mean, people buy 2 or 3 themes, and we have a developer license too, so I encourage people to try a theme and then come back, and I give them a coupon code to take that price of what they paid for the first theme and as a coupon for the developer license, because I really want them to love us before they go all in and buy $300 worth of themes.
So how do you feel you stack up against some of the big players? Because just when I hear about theme shops, you hear about the big players, and it actually astounds me that you were able to break into that and distinguish yourself. My
last theme we built was a PTA theme. Do you guys know what a PTA is?
Parent-teacher?
Have you ever looked at the websites for the PTAs?
They're horrible.
They're horrible. I have a beautiful theme named Deborah, and it's named after one of our employees who used to build PTA websites. Beautiful, graphically designed. That's how I made a difference. And again, the little town. Think about even small towns, 3 PTAs in America: elementary school, middle school, high school. Bigger districts, even more. That's my target. Nobody in WordPress has really even targeted it yet. Yes?
So are they end users or developers who are buying your things?
Both, but I thought it was going to be end users. I did not expect it was going to be a lot of developers. That caught me completely off guard. But I have a very strong developer base. I mean, when I spoke in Miami, there was women waiting for me afterwards to say, hey, I buy your themes, let's take a selfie together. I mean, I never expected that, but here's the nice thing. They also promote you. They're on Twitter, they're sharing your stuff, and we know social links, even though Google won't publicly acknowledge it half the time, it does influence search in many ways. So yeah, so we sell to both. And if I were to guess, I would say 30% developers, 70% end users. And I convert a lot of people to Genesis. I know it because they use my affiliate link, and I make money off of the Genesis purchase. So a lot of people I convert over to Genesis and force them to use it because, yes?
Have you considered, or do you currently dominate a vertical and say, not only am I going to sell a theme, but I'm going to sell sites for this vertical market and truly go after that for development and build out as well?
Here's why I don't do that. Is by nature, I'm a salesperson, and I like the thrill of the hunt and the sale, and I get a high off of the sale. I want to sell and be gone. I want to be on to the next one. And then that way I'm tied to them, and we got all this long-term stuff going on, and that will distract me from getting more sales and getting more highs as my email beeps and there's another sale. Which that just speaks to my personality and what drives me. That doesn't mean that wouldn't be a great solution for other people. I'm a big believer in do what makes you happy, and that type of thing, the new sale makes me happy. Any other questions? Yes?
I have 2 questions, actually.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to know how you dialed in with your graphic artists on meeting the needs of a specific user or market, how you knew that you were right on target. And then I guess my second question is a follow-up to that. Did you use metrics and data to validate
Yes.
that you had hit the sweet spot? And did you get into tweaks to kind of hone and fine tune that?
So the first answer, how did I hone in and make sure that I did it right?
Yeah.
I do a lot of research. It comes back to looking what the competition has and looking what they're actually trying to do, real people are trying to do with sites that just stink. And I always start locally, and then I'll pick like Orange County and try to get like, just different cities across the US, because that's how I can find those small little websites. So that gives me the idea, and I always try to make it better. So if I was their marketer, what would I have them do? And I add that into the homepage, because the homepage is critical. That's what they're going to see. It's that first impression. It's that emotional, you got them. And then from a validation standpoint, I track how long it takes me to get payback. So after, you really have to have 6 months at least to really know and have enough data, I think, for this to be able to know whether this is working or this is working or this is just a complete bust. So I would look to see what the search volume, I have a spreadsheet. Search volume, sales to date, how many months for payback. That is how I figured out my search sweet spot. And I also compared that to if I was on page 1 of Google or not, how many shares I have on social media. And I use all of that data to figure out what was working and what wasn't. And I will veer off the PTA thing because I love Debbie who works for me, and I think that's a niche that needs to be filled. I just did it because it needed to be done.
How often did you have to pivot to say, now this isn't working, but if I make this slight change, boom, then I'm in the sweet spot?
I've only had one really big pivot, and that was generic to industry specific. And don't veer off of it. When people come to me and say, oh, I really want this theme and it looks like this and this, I'm like, no. Unless I can base it on data, I'm not going to do it. And I'm honest with them when I reply back, especially the developers will do it. Because once you buy my development theme, you get all new themes coming in. And so they want to tell me what they want. But I'm honest, if there's no data to support those sales, we're not going to develop it. You're welcome. So how many people are going to create something? What are you going to create?
A membership website, not a theme, but I have an idea to create a membership website where people that want to start their own business can come and learn from other entrepreneurs.
Okay. Who else? You had some questions back there. Are you going to create something? Oh, no, no, no. Don't turn around, Troy. You? No? Yeah.
We're in the product business, we have plugins, not themes. But
Not themes.
Well, no, because I just kind of.
Did I scare you? Because we talked outside, and now we're talking in. Did you feel more warm and fuzzy towards it, or less after the talk?
I think it's a very saturated marketplace. I think what you've done that's really clever is that you've inadvertently kind of partnered with Genesis, so there's a lot you can leverage there through people who are already using the Genesis framework who want other child themes who might not like the StudioPress stuff.
Yes.
And there aren't hundreds of third-party Genesis child
Yes.
theme shops.
Yes.
I
So
think that's really smart.
that's a very good point, because when we decided to go full on Genesis, and I say that we married ourselves to Genesis, what I did was I put myself in that first level of a niche. That was that first level. Then going down further to the lawyer, to the accountant, that was even further segmentation, which that will reduce your potential market, but it allows you to stand out more. I almost pivoted. After Pressnomics, I almost pivoted and started creating non-Genesis themes. I was so close, we even built one. And it went nowhere. And the reason it went nowhere was because even though the target market would be much larger, I would have a hard time standing out. And the support I would have of 2 different types of themes, and we all think Genesis right now. That's what I think. Having to transfer back to regular WordPress, that was going to be challenging for my people. And it was more probably the mom in me that didn't do it because I didn't want to stress everybody out. And I didn't know if the payback, I questioned whether payback would be there, but I totally did not want to stress out the team with that.
The thing that I think holds us back the most from going into the themes is the support overhead.
Yes, and you know what? There's going to be a point, I'm sure, where I'm going to have to seriously look at our pricing model and potentially changing it. But right now it is, you don't hear from 80% of the people. And it could be the fact that we are Genesis. Because Genesis has the framework, that framework might be saving me with support so that we don't have as much support as we might otherwise.
Do you think Matt Mullenweg at Europe last year said that he'd like to see $999 themes at some point? Do you think a space for, like, I mean, most things are less than 100 bytes, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a space or a market for a $300 theme?
I don't know what you would include in it, because you don't want to bloat it so much with just stuff, to make that. So my way of getting more money is I'll set it up for you for $950. I have a new small business package for $950. You pick out which theme I like, in a week you're going to have a full website sitting there waiting for you. That's my way of, kind of rounding that out. I wouldn't pay $300 for a theme, and I spend money very quickly. I would pay to customize a full theme for me. I would have someone customize it, or not customize it, I'm sorry, create me a custom theme. I would spend thousands for that, but I would not pay $300 for a theme that other people are also using on their website. But that's me, that's my pain point. I think it's all relative. Yes?
Does it scare you at all? I guess that might not be a good term, but does it concern you that you're building on top of a framework and using plugins that you're so dependent on, like Genesis and WooCommerce, like you're saying that could change, have an update and break it, on top of the fact that you're already building on a content management system that has updates that could break.
Yep, and stuff does break. Soliloquy, that major update that Thomas did, which I love Thomas, killed us. Killed us. I lost so much support money in that because he had changed it. He changed so much of the coding in that. It broke a lot of things, and we had to scramble with him. But God bless him, he kept doing iterations out for us to fix everything that was getting reported. He was amazing at that. But yeah, so that part scares me. If this was all I did, and this was 100% of our revenue stream, I wouldn't be sleeping. But I got a whole lot of custom development getting done that I could say goodbye to the Steam store tomorrow, and maybe I just don't go buy a new, Kate Spade purse tomorrow. I still would be able to pay the bills. I'd still be able to pay my people because we have that whole other business to support us. But yeah, I do agree. The Genesis thing does worry me once in a while. Yes?
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it, but which way did you start? Were you guys an ad agency first and a theme store second, or a theme store first and then ad agency, or both at the same time?
Our origin was SEO to custom development, which was just customizing WordPress themes, in which that translates to Rebecca hacking themes from the internet. Yeah, thank heavens for StudioPress, because they taught me a lot of hacking through the support forum. But so that was the migration, and then I discovered through Chris Cree again the layered PSD and how you can have a graphic designer create something and that transforms, and I thought that was magical. So then we went to full development, and from full development, then we introduced the theme store on year 3 of the business.
And it took you how long to get your first set of themes out the door?
A couple months. We launched with 4. And here's a piece of advice. So my friend Rachel wanted to get some custom themes done for audiology, for that industry. They don't have great search traffic. And she wanted 4 to be able to sell to different offices and have a variety for them. We had started the theme store, and we had 4 at that time. And I go, hey, Rach, we could do a little, development. I could cover half your costs, and I could sell them in my theme store, and then you could just do whatever you want with your themes. That's how we got Ellen May, Catherine, Nancy, and Daniel. Those are my top sellers. And again, I hate Catherine. But she sells like hotcakes. And my development cost was 50% of what it should be because I partnered with somebody. And it was a win-win for both of us. So that's also, if you want to go in and you're worried about the development costs and putting up so much money up front, consider something like that. Because I've got tens of thousands of dollars invested in those themes. It's not $500 to create a professional theme. You're into the thousands for each one, at least in our process.